Is GELU the best Glatorian set? I mean, he does look pretty outstanding. In today's video, let's discuss what makes this set great, and we'll showcase some of the pieces that come in this set and how they could be used to build other Bionicle creations. And we'll finish off the video by taking a look at some community revamps of GELU. Let's check it out. Dude, GELU might just have one of the greatest Bionicle masks of all time. Look at it. The visor area around the face is reminiscent of gladiator-style helmets. But I guess the T shape of it kinda looks a bit like a Mandalorian helmet too. Combining two awesome things into one? Heck yes! And then it flares backwards into some larger ice spikes with these jagged edges to them. And it's got a nice two-tone marbled effect that transitions from white into trans-light blue. My word, it's so pretty. The brilliant fusion of gladiator and Roman stylings fused with frost, ice, and snow, it's sensational work. And more of that is present on the rest of this character. These snowflake-looking spikes on the shoulders are awesome. To me, it's very reminiscent of this kind of barbarian protective armor, like the one you're seeing here. But instead of spikes, the aesthetic looks more like snowflakes. Oh, and this blade too. Yes, it looks like a great double-sided weapon, but the nice trans blue highlight, once again, it ties it back into that ice vibe. There was just so much effort and thought that was put into the design of this toy, and the end result looks so frickin' cool. In fact, I've never taken this set apart. Since the day I bought this back in 2009, it has stayed built. I tend to dismantle most of my Bionicle sets, even my Lego sets too, because I like to use their pieces in MOCs. But GELU was just way too awesome. He needed to stay together. That's a pretty rare honor to bestow upon any Lego set, at least for me. Very few survive being sorted into my collection. That's how you know this set was good, hey? Now that being said, the pieces in this set are super nice, and it was very tempting to take this set apart and use those pieces to build other things. Let's see what pieces we get. We'll start off with GELU's wonderful mask. Mitch Henry uses a few of them on this MOC called Yakiti. Placing two of them together on either hand, I think that looks sick. The way that the icicles and other areas blend together, it looks like a cracking glacier or something like that. It's awesome. And combining these with those ice pieces that came on the Glatorian set Strack, this one here, as well as the mask from the Protector of Ice, well, all these pieces pair together very well. Each one shares a similar color scheme, and they all have that kind of familiar ice aesthetic. Thankfully, there's all kinds of different pieces that this mask pairs with very well. Leonard Arn also has a MOC that uses these masks, but this time, two of them are being used for shoulder armor. There's something really nice about how these two spikes on GELU's mask flow downwards. Kinda looks like actual icicles. And finally, Tony A uses this mask on the torso of this creation. But this is a dark green version. Now, this is a very rare misprinted version of this piece, but regardless of the color, using this mask for torso armor, that's awesome. You could totally do the same thing, just in white. And the way that the mask kind of covers up the torso and then neatly frames the neck, it's incredible. GELU's Ice Slicer weapon is magnificent, and Lewis Hammond uses it for a helicopter rotor on a revamp of the Hero Factory set, Rotor. This brand new injection of trans-light blue. It's so striking and so refreshing. It's nice to see that this piece can work as a weapon, like it does on GELU, or as helicopter blades. Who would have thought? Tony A also uses this piece, but this time they're being used for weapons on a Vaki revamp. I like that this piece ends with trans blue, but it begins with silver. That way you can really effectively transition this into other silver parts, like it's doing here on the arm design. Yeah, using GELU's blade is the perfect way to introduce a brand new color onto your MOC, provided that color is trans light blue. The way it's been added in here just feels so organic, and it works. GELU, like all the Glatorian, comes with a Thornax launcher. If you want to use the silver pieces that make up this launcher, you could do something like this. Poor Disadvantaged has a revamp of Hydraxon, and yeah, he did a really good job revamping this guy. But take a look down here on the hips. It's using these pieces here to create some type of protective waist armor. It's a really good look. And thankfully, these pieces are quite common. So if you have a few in your collection, that's one way that you could use them in a MOC. The Thornax launcher, of course, fires Thornax fruit. You can also fit Zamaspheres into these launcher pieces too. Now here's two MOCs that use either a Zamasphere or a Thornax fruit. Tribite, which was built by Gringat, is this fun little dude that has a Zamisphere for an eye. And it's very clever how the eye design matches up with this scope piece. However, in the lore for these characters, they can become corrupted, and they turn into these kinds of creatures. And yo, the idea of changing out the eye for a Thornax fruit, that's so clever. It really does look like a corrupted version of a Zamisphere. And this all-black color scheme pairs so nicely with that. What a great way to use this part. GELU's legs use these dark blue Vaki leg pieces. And a revamp of Onowa here that was built by Genko Builds uses them for an arm design. The rather dense and bulky shape of this piece, it pairs quite well with Onowa's strong, muscular, and larger size. I love it. And finally, here's some of the ways that you can use this snowflake piece. Forge of Artaka combines two of them together and puts a staff on the end to give Motoro this sick like snow staff. What a great idea for a weapon. Now, of course, the idea of putting these two pieces together, it's very similar to how it appears on the set Metis. We can see that they make some kind of like ice shield. Both this and what Forge of Artaka did are incredibly clever ideas. Another Motoro revamp, this time it's built by Necroscope Simple MOCs. He places these parts on Motoro's back, or kinda more so his shoulders. That's good, it's a nice and subtle way of making your Toa of Ice look more like it has ice powers. And all you have to do is put this piece on the MOC's back. If you're building a Toa of Ice, this piece will be a big help. Speaking of putting parts on backs, Bionicle Raijin does that here on a fun little creature build. Since this piece does have that kind of semicircle shape to it, it really helps to create a nice curved back design. And that curve really does make this MOC look so much more menacing and animalistic. So that's some ways that you could use the pieces that come in this set. Now, let's check out some revamps of GELU. Poor Disadvantaged kicks us off with this incredible revamp. I mean, look at this torso armor. The way that it flows down onto the waist, the bulkier shoulder pads, and how the snowflake piece is now angled downward. It's awesome. It's amazing how well these system pieces capture the shape of the original armor, but take it in a brand new direction, and a direction that looks a lot more like gladiator armor. Also, this Thornax launcher, the idea of it now being angled a bit so that it looks like the shape of a gun. It kind of is a gun after all. So spicing things up and making it look like this, it makes sense. Also, him carrying around a big old bag full of Thornax fruit, that's a nice touch. And finally, Ron Folkers has his own take on GELU. Now the changes to the color scheme here, they're really fun. The dark blue pants, they look really snazzy, and I love how the top part of the legs uses Nokama Hordika's mask. The mask that of course came on this set. The way that that flows into the rest of the leg design is so seamless and so pretty. And the introduction of black into the color scheme, it's a good choice. The bottom bit looks a bit like boots, the black arm looks like he's using haki or something, but still, the asymmetry here is wonderful. And this new longer version of his double-sided blade, fantastic. I always like seeing weapons that have a bit of curve to them. It's great to see GELU looking taller, stronger, and more armored. There you have it guys, that's the beautiful set, GELU. If you enjoyed the MOCs that I showcased in today's video, be sure to check the links in the description below. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, happy building, and bye for now.